Good evening. Today is December 28th, 2020. It is 4:05 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, and this is Bulldozer Investing. Just to analyze the markets overall today, it seems like the FANG stocks have been bought by institutions. As I predicted last couple of videos, we will have a rotation from mid-cap, from Russells to the big cap names like Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Google, and so forth. That did come true. It is the end of month portfolio window dressing, and that is totally normal. Now, looking at SPY, it did end in a very critical place, as we can see here. Basically where the top is, it just ended there and came back a little. SPY, as I am predicting, it would hit 377, 378 area. Now, looking at all the big cap names like Apple, it did reach, and it is reaching up to, my prediction was 140s, so it's getting there. That's okay. So Apple looks bullish for now. Would it have kind of a retracement, a little sell-off? It could get down. It could get down all the way to 132. That would be a good buying point. We did see the cruise sector go up a little. So looking at that, but it hits the cloud resistance here. One of the names that I've been heavily invested in, Palantir, had a huge down day, and it did end the day on the date in the 4 hours. It did end below the cloud. However, I do see a support right here, which did come down to. So I will watch this closely. I did kind of break my promise that I wasn't going to add in from my bank, and I was going to go in and just roll it as is, but I did end up pulling not a lot, maybe 2K. I put 2K more into Palantir, brought down the average. My average is sitting around 27.90s, I think 92, something like that. So that's no worries, because I am a long-term investor in Palantir, and I'll gradually add in if it comes down more. But this was a basic 8% drop was seen all over the place with names like Cloudflare, Net. So we look at Cloudflare, another 8% down, 8.8% down. It came down to the support bottom cloud. Other names, cloud names, other names like, you see like Fastly, all of those were down today. And they were about down the same percentage, like 7.5, 8%. So all of those got sold off. But as you can see in this name as well, it hit the bottom of the cloud. I have to watch these names closely, but a lot of people have been worried about, Palantir dropping, and I had, several messages. This seems 25.50 did hold, which was a good thing. It just seems like it could come down more and get a support at 25.12 area. But unfortunately, today was a bad day for the Palantir investors. I don't think the volume was pretty much average, so I don't think this was like a volume sell-off, like getting off the stock. I'm predicting that it will pick up in a couple days. As you can see, perfect support area. It's just that it eats away a little patience. So people want to sell off and get into the big names. I would hold off on that idea, because every time that Apple gets a 4% day, it does retrace a little bit. We saw that with couple other times. Precisely, Apple I'm still bullish on, but it's reaching to a point where 140s would be where I would sell. We had a lot of discounts on other names like Trade Desk, 10% down today, more than 10%. Trade Desk looks a little more bearish than other names that, like Cloudflare and so forth, but I would say trade desk will get a support. Worst case scenario, 787. I want to watch the sector a little bit more and see how it goes. But Facebook, as I said, I was bullish as Facebook. They fixed the chart. It was going down. It got a support on the fib line, and it's trying to break above the cloud on the daily, which seems okay. So all the Facebook, Apple, Facebook, Netflix will again, all those names will get a nice support and buy in by the end of the month. But names that we talked about, like Palantir, it did basically get down to where it was before the contract news. On the contract, we had that 10% move. Now, pretty much this move right here, it's pretty much sold off and got to where it was before. We just have to be a little patient, and this is a patience game. As long as it holds this level, that's fine. Okay. You just have to accumulate, sell the winners, and add to the losers. Basically, what I predicted did come true. There was a huge sector rotation from Russell going back into the big sector names. SPY, I'm going to watch carefully because it did, again, as I mentioned before, it did see the previous top and it kind of got stopped there. If tomorrow we fill this gap, I won't be surprised. All in all, right now I'm on hold. I'm raising cash to average down Palantir, which is the only name that I'm holding right now. And I'll probably hold till February, till the earnings. But this is going to be a long hold for me for Palantir. But as long as the sector names goes, the big sector will keep on rising, and the mid cap and the small cap will get sold off, as we saw. NNDM, which had a news, of course, they did sell some shares. I think they're putting new shares on the market, and NNDM went down. It got picked up, got a support right at the top of here, which is okay, but I mentioned that our target was 1050, which it hit 1050 and it bounced back. I was out by then. So we look at NNDM, which had a clear picture here, that I did say that it's going to hit 1050, and it's inverse hammer on a green, and it's holding off right at the pitchfork channel. I wouldn't get into these names yet. I wouldn't be surprised if they pick up and fill the gap at 882. Another name, Blink, started off the day good, and then it ended the day pretty bad. All these names might be on consolidation. I'm going to hold off and just accumulate more Palantir. SPAC names, I get a lot of questions like IPOC and other things like that. I cannot chart those, and they're basically speculative. Forgive me when if I hurt you by saying that, but those are pretty much speculative stocks that I can't tell anybody to get in at this point and sell in at that point. DraftKings had a down day today as well. All those names is pretty much expected. DraftKings sitting right at the fib line, okay, at $48. Okay, we've seen worse days in DraftKings, and it seems like DraftKings is also at a consolidation point. If it comes down to 48.20, it would be a good area to pick up. Other than that, pretty much everything moved as expected. Big names are getting bought in at the end of the month. Typical window dressing. Silver is pretty good. Dollar, of course, is going to devaluate, so people are going into things like gold and silver. That's expected as well. Russell is down today. Pretty much everything is going as expected. Of course, I didn't expect a big down day for Palantir. The downside is pretty big. Like all the big C's, Fastly, Peloton is 6.7% down. So we can see that institutions are basically selling off. Space, again, 7.23 down. Let's look at Space. All those names are down. It's not because of the stock, but it's purely because institutions. Actually, space is looking nice. It would be a good buying point around here. It tested the lows of the 2371, which is sitting here. So let's draw a line here. We could see a bounce in a couple of days. You just have to be patient. A lot of people, what they do is they, as soon as they see these sell-offs, they sell to and then get into Apple and Amazon, and then those go down, and then the ones that they sell go up. So they keep on going to them, and just keep on switching back and forth. I believe that these names are to be held. You have to be positioned correctly and just average it down. Obviously, we just couldn't break this 2950 for Palantir, and it just dropped. I thought that 26 would hold, but it also gave in on that. Let's look at the 4-hour today. I tweeted that the cloud support was pretty good and it was going up, and then it just went inside the cloud. So far, nothing too bearish yet, but if we do lose this level of 2513, we might see more downside till 2397, which I would not want, but we'll see what happens. We'll see if 2518 holds tomorrow. Seems like a typical pattern for Palantir to go up in the morning and then just a huge sell-off afterwards, which is what happened today. We tested the 28 levels and then it just crashed down. Yeah, I lost about 2,500 today, but this is the psychology, guys. If you keep on draining yourself on these kinds of days and then just burn yourself down and sell off and get out of the market, and next thing you know, by next couple of weeks, you're like, oh yeah, I shouldn't have sold off. So be careful with that. You have to be solid on these days and keep on averaging. There's nothing like you have to think like this. If I didn't have Palantir, or if I didn't hold any position today, what would I buy and what would I sell? I would have sold Apple and got into these names like Cloudflare, Fastly's, Trade Desk, Palantir today. But since we were already positioned in, we're thinking negatively. But for those who are holding cash, they're loving this moment because they can buy everything cheaper. But I'm just watching the volume on Palantir right now. It's typical volume. It's not like a huge sell-off. Nothing that I would this is NDM by the way, but nothing that I would be worried yet, as long as we hold these levels. Now, if we don't hold these levels, then like I mentioned, the 2508 level, 2518 level doesn't hold, then we have to consider things. But right now I'm holding it, and I'm probably holding it for the next couple months and averaging it. So things like SPR, I was holding it all throughout, and it just seemed like, okay, every time we go up, we sell off. Every time we go up, we sell off, and it just was frustrating. And I basically sold here with a good profit and left the stock, went up, came back to the point where I sold, and just kept going up. So same situation. It could be the same situation with Palantir, that every time it goes off, it sells off. Every time it goes off, it seems like it broke off the simple moving average. It sold off again. So we could be waiting for news. Some stocks could be waiting for news. Some stocks could be just building that momentum, contracting, and then exploding. So I was wrong on Palantir, but right now it's not time to give up. It is time to accumulate, and I'll be watching the big names very carefully. I'll be watching Russell very carefully. We also saw stocks like Moderna and Novavax sell off. This is totally normal, but I would be a buyer at 106 for Moderna. Even though it's below the 20-day, I would just watch till the 50 holds or not. So same thing with Novavax. We saw a big down day today. Okay, but eventually in the bigger picture, Novavax could hold 111s. Okay, so let's wait and see. This is a wait and see game. I believe that Novavax is just consolidating for the next run as well. We just have to wait and see. So that's my conclusion here. I'll be watching the big cap and the Russell. I see a sector rotation, but it could be that, you know, some buyers could see the, you know, the discount with the names like Fastly, Cloudflare, all the cloud names, small or mid cap names, and they'll be going in maybe after the end of the year or after at January. So we'll wait and see. You just have to, sometimes I said that I put this channel to show you guys how to basically hold on and, you know, and manage your psychology. So we'll just have to wait and see. I'm not going to give up. Probably going to buy more at 21 levels. I'm not saying it will get there, but let's see how this support holds for Palantir. So that's it, guys. Keep it safe. Make sure that emotionally and psychologically you don't break down, and you always plan ahead of time. Okay. I would not get in Apple right now. I would probably not get in BABA either. A lot of people are saying, you know, people message me, what do you think of BABA? Even if it goes up, it'll probably go up to 244 levels or fill this gap, but I don't believe that big institutions would buy in right now, because this is a political game. You don't bet against the government of China unless BABA and China agrees to something. Then, you know, we'll see a bullish run. But again, we just have to wait and see. And today was kind of a wait and see game for me, and I'm not jumping ships yet. Okay. All right. Keep it safe. Keep it safe, everybody, and have a nice day.